You have an eyelash that's about to go into your eye. Don't do that. No.
Hey moviegoers, welcome to Married Movie Reviews. My name is Mike.
And I'm Karen, and today we are reviewing Captain America: Civil War. Now this movie came out a while ago, but if you haven't seen it, we will be talking spoilers, so you have been warned.
Captain America: Civil War is directed by the Russo Brothers, who also directed Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which, in a lot of people's opinions, is one of the best Marvel movies to date. It stars all the Avengers except for Thor and the Hulk, but it also introduces Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, Daniel Brul as the villain Zemo, and it brings in newcomer Tom Holland to play Spider-Man.
I liked him.
I liked him too.
So since the events of the last Avengers Age of Ultron movie, the governments of the world decide that the Avengers need to have some sort of limitations put on them so that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
And this causes a rift between two sides of the Avengers. You got Iron Man on one side and Captain America on the other, and all the other guys kind of pick sides. And this causes basically the Civil War of the Marvel Universe. And it's a great movie.
Yeah. And it's interesting that Captain America, who's Captain America and all for American interests and all for that, is the one who's against it. Mm-hmm. And Tony Stark, who's usually the anarchist and no rules kind of guy, is the one that agrees with it. Yeah. I felt that was really interesting.
Yeah. I didn't pick a side going into the movie, but within the movie, I kept changing my mind. I was like, yeah, Iron Man's got a point, or Tony Stark's got a point. They need to have limitations, and they need to be held accountable for their actions. But then I was like, Captain America has a good point where what if we need to go somewhere, but the government won't let us?
Yeah.
And it's a really back and forth movie.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorites. It is my favorite Marvel movie, I have to say. It's my favorite Marvel movie to date.
I love how the basis of it is all controversy, and it's an actual controversy. It's not like there's bad versus good this time. Mm-hmm. It's that there's this, well, here's what we want to do, but it's not quite going to work for me, and then it starts to divide. And I think they tried to do that in a way where the bad guy wasn't really a bad guy.
Marvel's never been that great at having bad guys in their movies. Loki was probably the best, and that's why they've used him twice. But this one, there really isn't a bad guy in it. I mean, you have Crossbones at the beginning, but he's taken care of really quick. And then you have Zemo, and he's really just there to just kind of
drive the story a little bit.
Yeah, he's just there to nudge him to fight. And I think that's what I liked best about this movie is they kind of know, okay, our villains aren't the greatest, so we're going to have our heroes fight.
And I like the fact that when you have the two sides going at it, the flip and flop, where you're not quite sure which side to go with, and they both have really good points, and then you have everybody coming together, including Ant-Man and Spider-Man and Black Panther, and it's all just this conglomeration that's put together really well, which I think is hard to do in movies. When you have too many characters going at the same time, it makes it difficult to really drive the story, but I thought they did that really well.
What I liked about Avengers, the first one, is that they gave each character their own moment. Mm-hmm. And that only had half the characters that this one has. The Russo Brothers took what Joss Whedon did in Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron and just blew it up. They just made it bigger.
In a good way.
In a good way. And every character has their own moment. Ant-Man has his moment where he's just taking apart Iron Man's suit from the inside. That was great.
And then he becomes a giant and it's like slow motion. I thought that was funny.
It builds on what has happened in the past few movies. It's not just a standalone movie. You have to have seen Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Captain America: The Winter Soldier to really understand what's going on.
So I got to comment on some of the special effects. Some of them were amazing, like with Ant-Man when he gets bigger. But then there's the Spider-Man uniform. It looked like a cartoon. Like it was very flat color, not a whole lot of variance with shades and with detail in the material. And I'm not sure if what they were going for with that, but it didn't appeal to me at all. The other thing that really bothered me was that running scene in the tunnel. The ground underneath them was sliding, or they were sliding on top of the ground as they're running. It looked, again, like a cartoon, and I'm like, you spend so much time on all these other special effects that look awesome, and you can't make somebody run properly.
The stakes in this movie were not high, which was another great point. A lot of the other Marvel movies, the stakes are like world-ending apocalypse. And this one, it's very grounded, and it's very just a tight movie that
it's
doesn't
just about...
explode into just pure epicness. It's cool, but it's not over the top, which was perfect. That's what it needed to be. Mm-hmm. It needed to be a more intimate story, and they really pulled it off.
Yeah, and you don't really know who's going to win at the end, because there's no good way for it to go.
Yeah.
If Captain America wins, that means Tony loses. And if Tony wins, then that means Captain America loses. And it's not necessarily that simple, but that's where you get with the feeling as you come to the end of it. You're like, what is going to happen? Because this is a very deep friendship that's deeply rooted in their commonalities and their way of doing things. And now it's being tested, and it's completely crazy.
Yeah.
But it's good.
I was actually kind of nervous during that final fight scene between Iron Man and Captain America and Bucky. I didn't know who I wanted to win. I didn't really want anyone to win. I was just like, stop fighting, you guys, you're friends. But it was kind of a hard scene to
It was very hard to watch, because you're like, I don't want anybody to win. Can you guys just stop and be like, okay, you know what, I'm overreacting about this whole thing. Like, he's a guy and he's been brainwashed, so now we're going to help him and try to figure out a way to get Bucky back to being Bucky. But then, it's also that deeper layer of Captain America has a whole nother past life with Bucky. And now he's got this new life in the future with Tony. Yeah. And it's been a little rocky, but that's what makes it a good friendship. And then it's totally being tested, and you're like, I don't want this to happen. No.
So let's talk about the women in this movie.
Really?
Yeah. You got 3 of them. You got Scarlet Witch, you got Black Widow, and you got Peggy's niece, who Captain America, he loses Peggy, so he's like, I'm just going to go for the next best thing. Her niece.
So she's being held to a very high standard in Captain America's eyes, because she has to compete with Agent Carter. How do you beat Agent Carter?
You can't.
You can't.
I do like how they focused a little bit more on Scarlet Witch in the beginning of this movie, because while her accent's a little rough at times, it kind of goes in and out, but I like how they focused on her, because she is very powerful. I mean, she was able to take down the Vision, pretty much, and send him into the deep friend zone.
I like how Black Widow, who has always been the very strong, confident character who can manipulate people into giving her information that she wants, her role is kind of reversed in this one, where she's now giving advice and she's now giving information to both sides. She's kind of like the buffer, almost, because she ends up switching so that Captain America and Bucky can get away, because she knows he's never going to stop, and she doesn't want to see any of them get hurt.
Right.
And I think that brings her character to a whole nother level, and I think it's really cool how they do that.
So let's talk about the teams right quick, and how I think it should have been almost no competition, in the fact that Team Iron Man should have mopped the floor with Team Captain America. On Team Iron Man, you obviously have Iron Man, War Machine, Vision, who single-handedly could have taken them all out, besides maybe Scarlet Witch. You got Black Panther, Black Widow, and Spider-Man. On the other side, you have Captain America, Super Soldier with a shield. You got Winter Soldier, Super Soldier with a metal arm. You got Hawkeye, a good archer. You got Ant-Man, a guy who can shrink. You got Scarlet Witch, who is very powerful. And then you have Falcon, a guy who can fly. And that's it. So, how I still don't quite understand how they
stacked up against each other.
matched like in power. And the airport scene, while it was really cool, it didn't make that much sense when Ant-Man became Giant Man and they're all focused on him. When it's like, okay, Vision, Iron Man, and War Machine could have flown around above him and stopped Captain America and Bucky from getting to the jet. It really wasn't that hard. It was all just convenience to keep the action going. It was cool.
So I give Captain America Civil War a B+. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. But of course, I'm nitpicky when it comes to special effects. But the character development was good. The story was good. And I am really looking forward to what comes next.
So after 8 years, we have finally come to this, Civil War. This is my favorite Marvel movie to date. It's better than Avengers, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy. While those are great movies and I love them, this one is better in my opinion. There are a few flaws in it, like the bad guy wasn't really a good bad guy, but he was just there to give him a little nudge. But the action, the comedy, the drama, it all just worked really well. And I give Captain America Civil War an A+. And I know that seems a little too easy on the movie, where it did have some issues. It was still my favorite Marvel movie and one of my favorite movies of all time, to be honest.
So we want to know what you think. Did you like it, love it, or hate it? Let us know in the comment section below.
And if you like this video and you want to see more, you can click right over there, you can click right here and subscribe, or you can click up here and follow us on Twitter.
And as always, thanks for watching.
Okay. So boring. Okay.
I'm falling asleep just listening to you talk.
It's so boring.